Today on the Bandwagon Says podcast, we're going to be discussing why I love the 1990s. And that's about it, because in the US, it's a holiday weekend, it's a long weekend, so we're just chilling out, man. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, bro. Let's go to the show. All right, we are discussing why I think the 1990s are better than current time, but before we get really into it, I want to preface it by saying I don't know where the line is. On one side of the line, there's healthy nostalgia, where you enjoyed a time period, so you go back and enjoy an album or a movie from that time. You get the warm and fuzzies and say, "Ah, what a wonderful time." That's the healthy side of the line. On the other side of the line is the possibility of having a complete mental break and reverting back to a time period and living as though you are currently in that time period. The reason I'm setting this up, I fear that I'm leaning ever so slightly to completely snapping and living as though the current time was the 1990s. I just want to preface it with that. But all joking aside, I have been giving it a lot of thought. Why do I enjoy, or why am I drawn to the 1980s and the 1990s? The first thought, the obvious answer is, well, you were younger during the 1980s and 1990s. When you're younger, you have fewer responsibilities. You don't have a day job. You don't have to worry about taxes. What a beautiful time. And that is probably what initially drew me to this time period. But I spoke to people of differing ages during that time period, and they came to the same conclusion. They agree with me. It was just a simpler time. Life was simpler in the 1990s. We had all this amazing new technology, but it hadn't taken over the world. It had not changed societal expectations or societal norms. Society was still functioning in this simpler way, but we were still enjoying and benefiting from this new technology. But I came up with 4 reasons why I think the 90s were better than current times. Number 1 is there was less news. This is a huge one. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was 1 hour of evening news. You got 30 minutes of local news and then 30 minutes of national and global news. That was it. Outside of that, if you wanted to stay up to date, maybe you could go to AM talk radio. Maybe that was big. I don't know about that. But the thing that's different now, there are multiple 24-hour-a-day news channels. You can turn them on anytime and get constant feeds of doom and gloom fed right into your brain. You don't even need a TV to be fed this doom and gloom. Open up a social media app. You will see late-breaking news right on the front page of pretty much every single social media app. So you don't need cable anymore to get that. You don't need to wait to 5 o'clock until 5 or 6 o'clock to get that news. You can open up your phone anytime and get it fed right into your brain. And the issue that I have with that is not people staying informed. It's the fact that in order to fill the time, the coverage has to expand. What I mean is, back in the 80s and 90s, they had an hour. It's not that hard to fill an hour with information, with news, especially covering local and national news. But now, they don't have enough information. They don't have enough news, so they have to expand the net. Now you're hearing about all the terrible things happening in every city around the entire world. Yes, it may be good to be informed, but at the same time, I don't think that's healthy. Being informed of every negative thing that's happening all the time in every city around the world. We're being tricked. That's the main issue. Our brains are being tricked because we see this ever-increasing frequency of horrifying events, when in reality, the frequency is probably decreasing, but we are getting an increasing frequency fed into our brain of these horrifying events. The world is probably improving. The world is probably getting safer. But with news, they need to fill the time. They want to keep you watching. So they just keep feeding it. They go to every city. Okay, what's the most horrifying event of the 500 cities that we're monitoring? Okay, we'll take that one and then go to that one. And you get this information. Is it good? Maybe. But is it healthy? From a completely uneducated, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist? I don't think it is healthy. I don't think our brains are capable of handling that much information. I think it's better that we just understand what's going on in our community and are able to focus on our community. I am sure somebody's going to be upset about that, but just from a personal point of view, I think it's healthy to understand what's going on in your community. And if you have the ability, the mental fortitude to deal with more, go for it. Absolutely. But there's just this expectation, because there is so much news, that everybody be informed of every single thing happening all over the world. And I don't think it's healthy. So I long for a time where there was just 1 hour of news. You didn't have 24-hour news channels feeding you doom and gloom. You didn't have feeds on your phone all the time. You didn't have podcasts feeding it into your brain all the time. Just horrifying. Number 2, no cell phones, or I guess I should say fewer cell phones, less cell phones with less capability. Do not get me wrong. I think that cell phones are amazing. I love them. I love the capability. I love being able to order anything I want all the time, and I have access to the entire knowledge of human history in my pocket. How does that phrase go? I don't know. You have access to the entire world's knowledge in your pocket all the time. That's undeniably amazing. But at the same time, I absolutely hate them. They are the worst. They are a cancer. Now, I don't mean the technology in and of themselves or in and of itself. I'm really talking about the societal expectations around cell phones. Because now with a cell phone, people very rarely go anywhere without their phone. That means that people are accessible. They are contactable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And with that, there is also an expectation that you answer as soon as possible. Back in the day, you could get a call, somebody would leave a message on your answering machine, you would get that message 6 hours later. If it was too late, you'd have to call them the next day after school or after work. Now, if you don't respond to a text or answer a call within 30 minutes, people think you're dead. They start to worry. And because there's that worry, you almost have an obligation to respond, hey, I'm safe, I can't respond right now, I'll talk to you later. And I hate that. That's honestly why I enjoy going on long drives so much, because that's one of the few situations where people are okay with you not responding and being available at the exact moment they contact you. You may get a text, hey, check out the pizza that I just had. And if you don't respond, why didn't you respond? I sent you a picture of this amazing pepperoni pizza. And you could say, well, I was driving across the country on a highway. Did you want me to pull it out and get into a car accident and die? Is that picture of the pepperoni pizza really that important? Hopefully the person will say no. So that is why I really enjoy going on long drives. I have not done that in years at this point. I need to get back to it. But the societal expectations around cell phones is the issue that I have. Also, it leads to constantly being able to order stuff all the time, having access to all the music in the world, having access to all the movies in the world. But on that note, let's jump to number 3. Physical media is why I think the 90s were better than the current era. I do completely understand the appeal of these streaming services, but I still don't necessarily like them because you are paying $10, $15, $20 a month. That gets you access to tens of thousands of movies, or if we're talking music, it gets you access to all the music ever recorded. That's an amazing value, and when I was growing up, I would love that. But now that I have it, now that I have access to it, I think that amount of choice is debilitating. It makes it more difficult to decide what to watch or what to listen to. And having such easy access to all of that content devalues it a bit, in my opinion. Back in the 90s, if you wanted to watch a movie, you would have to go down to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or your local rental store, agree with everybody, okay, what are we going to watch? You'd argue. And then you would find, okay, we want to watch Day of the Dead or The X-Files. You would get it on VHS, you'd get it home, you'd be pissed off at the last person because they didn't rewind it, and then you'd whine about it, and then you'd rewind it and watch it. There was just something special about going to the video store and finding that video, renting it, and going home to watch it. And I am 100% aware that is pure nostalgia because it was expensive. You would get late charges. It kind of stunk, but going to the video store, it captures that time perfectly. It's so enjoyable to do it. And there was a really cool video rental store near me in the 2000s. They would give you free popcorn when you walked in. I loved going there. And they had all the weird stuff. They had an entire floor for foreign films. And they had an entire extremely big section of horror films. Just an amazing store. So I understand that's nostalgia driven. But why do I appreciate physical media more? Because it was intentional. You had to have intention to watch or listen to music. I recently pulled out a Discman again, or I bought a Discman again, and putting in a CD, I'm much less likely to say, oh, I really want to hear this one song by Weird Al. I'm going to listen to that, and then I'm going to listen to a song by Kanye West, and then I'm going to listen to a composition. Why couldn't I remember the term composition? I don't know. I'm going to then listen to Mozart, and then I'm going to listen to Taylor Swift, and then I'm going to listen to Notorious B.I.G., and then The Locust, and then At the Gates. With digital music, with streaming music, I would do that. But with physical CDs, I'm going to listen to the entire thing. With vinyl, I'm going to listen to the entire album, which a lot of thought goes into by the artist. The track listing is very important for the artist. As I turn on the Discman and Weird Al starts to play. Yes, I'm listening to Weird Al. Yes, I'm 12-year-old. I am such a child listening to Weird Al at my age. I don't care. I enjoy it. So the intention that comes with physical media, I think, allows us to appreciate it a bit more. And a lot of entertainment, a lot of content now is a bit cheapened, because it's so easy to access. Or maybe the correct word is not access, but more switch between. Having such an easy ability to switch between all the different songs in the entire existence and all the different videos ever made, all the different movies ever made, cheapens it a bit. I like putting in a VHS or putting in a DVD and saying, okay, well, I'm watching this now. I'm listening to this album all the way through now. Gives it a bit more value, a bit more impact. And the number 4 reason why I think the 1990s were better than current time is there was no social media. And I legitimately think this is the biggest reason why I like the 90s better than now, because I truly believe social media is a cancer on society. And as somebody who uses it and has kind of made a side hustle on social media, I understand some good can come from it, but I think overall it has been a huge net negative. A couple of the behaviors that I think are terrible on social media, the oversharing. People share way too much. Nobody needs to know that much information about you. Whether it be sharing mundane things, I ate this today. Oh, it made me feel good. Oh, then I ate this and then that, then this, then that. Nobody cares. Or whether it be sharing personal information and details. That's not safe. That's not healthy. Nobody needs to know all the fights that you got in with your significant other. Nobody needs to know what kind of bowel movement you had. It's not information anybody needs. And it's not even stuff like that. People share their location, where they are, where they're going, what kind of expensive jewelry they're wearing. It's why there's a lot of jewelry crime and watch crime right now, because people are so irresponsible. That's the first one. And then the second one is people harass you. This is something that I think is inevitable with humans. There's been bullying forever, but I think that social media extends the hours of bullying. Let me explain. Kids nowadays are expected by their friends to be on social media, and if they don't have social media, they're probably considered weird. With that being said, now let's think about bullying. Back in my day, in the 80s and 90s, you would be picked on, you would be bullied. That bullying would end when the bell rang, because now you went home, your bully wasn't at your home, hopefully. There were certain instances where you'd be followed home by a bully, or you would get chased and then get into a fight with them. That would happen. But generally speaking, for the most part, when the bell rang and you got on the bus to go home, the bullying ended. Maybe when you got off the bus to actually go to your home, it ended. But nowadays, because kids are pretty much required by their friends to have social media to fit in, to be normal, the bullying extends its hours. Now they go on social media and that same bullying, that same harassment will continue online. So it's kind of made it so there's no real safe time for them. In school, you'd get bullied. It's inevitable. That will always happen. But you could escape in the 90s. So I think the fact that there was no social media made a much healthier growing up experience, a much healthier existence, because you didn't have to worry about people oversharing. You didn't have to worry about people harassing you. You didn't have to worry about people having unrealistic expectations of you. You need to have an opinion on every single thing that's ever happened. If you don't, you're evil. No, I'm just not informed, so I'm not going to publicly share my opinion. It's called being responsible. Yeah, there's some really just wacky ideas going on social media and really wacky expectations people have of others on social media. So I think the fact that now social media is so pervasive is a huge contributor to social issues going on. Not all social issues, but a huge contributor to some issues that are going on in society right now. And I understand all of these things are very easy to solve. As far as less news, just don't look at the news. Just watch for 1 hour a day. Problem solved. As far as no cell phones, just leave your home without a cell phone. Problem solved. Set boundaries with people around you. Physical media, don't pay for a streaming service. Get physical media and watch it and listen to it. And then delete your social media. There, I solved all my problems. But I have been reverting super hard to the 1990s because I do think it was a simpler time. And I don't know about you, but things have gotten a bit complicated. The world seems very complicated. And I want simple. I want to simplify my life. What have I been doing? I have been reading Goosebumps because I read them in the 90s and I really enjoyed them. As I pointed out, I got a Discman. And I got Koss Porta Pros, very uncomfortable headphones. They really start to hurt your ears. I've been listening to Weird Al. I have a bunch of 90s albums that I've been listening to. What else have I been doing? I have been trying to only watch physical media, watch and listen to physical media, all the DVDs, all the VHS, all the CDs that I have, trying to appreciate and enjoy them. I've even gone so far to have a mental break to the point where I have friendship bracelets. I got a Swatch watch from 1990. This was made in 1990. There was one I got a couple of them because I'm doing a video on them, but there's one Swatch watch from the 1990s, this same model, but different colors. It's probably the 90s watch, but for some reason it goes for $700 to $1,500, and I said, nope, I'm not. I don't want to live in the 90s that bad. I don't want to trick myself that bad. But It's a cool looking watch if you like the really flashy, bright colors. It is as 90s as it can possibly get, but I'm not going to spend $1,500 just to trick my brain into thinking, hey, it kind of feels like the 90s because you're not on social media as much. Not going to do that. I wish I had the money to do that kind of frivolous spending, but ain't going to happen. And those are all the crazy thoughts that have been bouncing around in my head as I just completely mentally snap and revert to the 1990s and watch the X-Files again. Heck, I even got a Quicksilver Velcro wallet. Yeah, you hear that? Velcro wallet, nylon wallet with a zipper on it. And what did I do? Because I have completely lost it. I put quarters in there so I can call my mom to pick me up at the mall. Hey, Mom, start driving. I'm going to be done at the mall in 12 hours. Long drive. Yeah, I've lost my mind. And it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. And you saw the Trapper Keeper. I'm having such a good time. And that's the last thing I will say on this. Life has become so complicated. Life has become so serious. Life has become such a downer over the last couple of years. If you find something that brings you joy, grasp onto it and squeeze as much joy out of that as you possibly can. I'm not actually losing my mind. I just get a lot of joy out of this. I know it's stupid. I know VHS looks terrible. I know that I have access to amazing quality recordings on my computer. There's something special about putting in a CD into a Discman. There's something fun about sitting down in the morning with a light on when it's still dark outside and reading a couple chapters of Goosebumps. And I'm enjoying it. So if you can find something that brings you any amount of joy, as long as it's not hurting anybody, as long as it's legal, grasp onto it and squeeze all the joy that you can out of it because you deserve it. The world's crazy. We need all the joy that we can get, so do it. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about what I've been testing. I'm going to say it. You have been listening to it. It's the Neumann. Hello, Neumann. Listen to all that detail. The Neumann KMS105, which is a handheld condenser microphone. And I'll tell you, I've been living dangerously. I have not been using a pop filter. I don't think I've been popping it, but I've been risking it. I'm raw dogging this microphone. I was thinking about putting on the big old fat foam windscreen from the SM7B. Takes away a lot of the detail. And if you're using the KMS105, you want that detail. This is a microphone people said, it's the best you've ever sounded. I don't agree, but hey, I love how it sounds on the shows that I have enjoyed that use this microphone. Angry Video Game Nerd uses this. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Seen a couple of his videos and he uses this and it sounds great. Goodness gracious, enunciate. Speak clearly, Bandrew. Do not mumble. I am a thespian. Why? Like I said, we're just chilling out. Whatever. I don't have any What You Had to Say's pulled. I don't have any Ask Bandrews pulled. None of that stuff. But I do have a movie of the week. Let me hold this up for you. It's a DVD case, Blu-ray case. Die Hard. This is the 5-movie collection, but the one that I want to discuss, Live Free or Die Hard from 2007. Not because I think the movie was great or anything, but because it finally clicked for me. I think that the movie trope of the 2000s, the aughts, is cyber, is internet. When I think of it now, I'm thinking Enemy of the State, now this Die Hard movie, Untraceable. If you've never seen Untraceable, that's a wacky movie. Really dark. Eagle Eye. Probably 100 others. I feel like a James Bond. had a bunch of internet hacking, cyber terrorism kind of stuff. And I think that is the 2000s trope. And I found myself really enjoying it, actually. I don't think it's a great movie. I think the first one is always going to be much better. And Michael Scott from The Office summarized why it's not good. In the first one, he was just a New York City cop. Now he's driving cars into helicopters. What? He's not a superhero. He's just a guy. How does he drive a car? What? That's not a thing. Still a fun watch, though. Really silly 2000s action. And the real reason I liked it, Justin Long. Justin Long, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. He's an awesome actor. I love him in this. I love him in, what's the Waiting movie? I love him in Zach and Miri Make a Porno, Brendan St. Randy. You better shut your mouth or I'm gonna, you know that movie quote. And then what's the horror one? He was in the Sam Raimi movie, Drag Me to Hell. What an excellent movie. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. He is outstanding. Justin Long, well done. And it has Kevin Smith in it. Talking about Kevin Smith with Zach and Miri Make a Porno. YouTube, do not demonetize this video. I am not discussing adult content. That is the name of a movie. Okay? Are we clear? YouTube, do not demonetize or deplatform me. And that's going to wrap up for today. I've got nothing else to talk about. If you are in the U.S., I hope you have a great Memorial Day, a great long weekend, and don't forget to think about and remember the men and women who served our country, who gave their lives, absolute heroes. All right, that is it. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. Let me know. If you could go back and live in one decade, what would it be and why? Why didn't I ask this question earlier? That's a fun question. Go to the YouTube video and leave a comment. What decade would you live in? And why? I will talk to you later. I love you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.